Nothing can go wrong with my therapy. The professor and Francine are trying so hard it would be churlish of me not to change. After a few days on the medication, I developed the weirdest sensation of having two brains. One in charge of abstract thoughts and concepts, and the other in charge of my body. If I want to walk or scratch my nose, my two brains have to sit down together in the crimson upholstered room that is my actual brain and discuss it. They sit facing each other across a large walnut desk. The abstract brain, who is very polite, asks the practical brain if she would very much mind moving my leg, and the physical brain, similarly charming and eager to please, is delighted to assist. And the medication is working. I don't feel like counting. I can barely find any numbers in the crimson upholstered room, either on the desk or around the chairs, unless there are cupboards in there, hidden behind the upholstery. If my two brains know where the numbers are, they aren't telling. Francine takes cognitive behavioural therapy too. The day of my first session, I have a splitting headache, like my two brains have decided they never really liked each other after all, and have dropped any semblance of politeness, and instead begun attacking each other and the crimson upholstered room with chainsaws. My behavioural therapy is challenging. Francine puts me in circumstances where it's almost impossible not to count. She deals playing cards in front of me, face up. She arranges coins and buttons and matchsticks in piles and pyramids. She asks me to bring in my Cuisenaire rods, and she spreads them in front of me, and together we make little patterns. She is vigilant in checking for any tapping of foot or clicking of tongue or moving of lip, but truthfully, I'm not in the mood. Francine says that when I'm ready, I should throw the rods away. So, just like that, one Wednesday, a few weeks after my sessions began, I stand up from behind Francine's desk, I walk to the waste paper bin in the corner, I drop them in. After I bin them, I go home and watch TV. Seamus stays over often, and I love it. He even reminds me to take my medication. One weekend, Seamus and I wear our oldest clothes, move all the furniture. We paint everything plain white. He chose it. I couldn't be bothered picking a colour. I don't count the brush strokes. As we paint, the brains chat with Seamus. Seamus, where are your rods? Brain 1. My what? Seamus, your Cuisenaire rods. They're usually right here on the bedside table. Brain 2. What did happen to those? Brain 1. I threw them out. Seamus, really? You threw them out? You've had them since you were, 8? Brain 2. Ish. Brain 1, or thereabouts. Seamus, why on earth did you throw them out? Brain 2, yeah, why? Brain 1, Francine told me to, plus I was over them. Seamus, God, they made you do that. That's a bit tough. Brain 2, you're telling me? We're going to regret losing them for the rest of our life. Brain 1, speak for yourself. Onward and upward, I say. Take no prisoners. Seamus, you've been working so hard on this, Grace. I know it's not easy, these early stages. I know you're tired and have trouble concentrating, but you need to be patient. We both do. I am enormously improved and delighted with my two brains. It is infinitely more sensible having two. Seamus and I are almost living together now. We end up spending most of our time at my place. Seamus keeps his running shoes and his toothbrush here, and I buy the kind of cereal he likes. A couple of days ago I phoned my mother and we had a lovely chat about housework. I've kept everything clean in the past, but I'd never really grasped the finer details. For example, when I iron Seamus's shirts, I always do the collar last. This inevitably leads to the front creasing. Instead, I should iron the inside of the collar first. Genius! I'm glad my phone conversations are improving. Francine had a few helpful suggestions, and I follow her advice to keep a box of index cards by the phone, filled with the details of the people I speak to. There are only 4 cards, but when I get a job, I'm sure there'll be more. The night the phone rings at some ungodly hour, I can't seem to wake up. I can hear a distant pealing, but it's ingrained in my dream. Seamus leans over me in bed and answers it, making serious, capable noises into the receiver. I seem to be sleepy all the time lately, and now I can't wake up properly. My brains aren't helping. By the time Brain 1 asks Brain 2 to open my right eye or lift my left arm and put it through the sleeve, Brain 2 has slumped to the floor of the red padded room and nodded off. It isn't until we're in the hospital waiting room that I really comprehend what has happened. Jill is there. Harry is there too. Seamus wakes me. There's a nurse saying something. Our mother is all right, the nurse says. She has some smoke inhalation and some minor burns and was distressed when the ambulance brought her in, but they've given her a mild sedative and she's sleeping now. They'll keep her in for observation and to check her lung function during the night, but overall she is very lucky. The nurse says it's nobody's fault. These things happen with older people and there's not much you can do. A little later, they let us in to see Mother. She's in a large room with 4 beds, but hers is the only one occupied. We aren't to stay long. We aren't to disturb her. She is sleeping, so we stand around her bed, looking down at her, not quite knowing what to say to each other. Now Jill, Seamus and Harry are murmuring, and I force myself to pay attention. It'll be much better for her, Harry says. There's safety in numbers. Somewhere inside me something stirs. I can't explain it. A little voice speaks. It isn't Brain 1 or Brain 2. Perhaps it's me.